Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 31st edition of the Sploro Cascade Funding webinar series. My name is Ana Minea, Digital Communications Manager at Sploro, and I'm delighted to welcome you to today's Info Day focused on deep tech and cybersecurity. If you're a researcher, entrepreneur, startup, SME, or part of an innovation ecosystem working on AI, cybersecurity, or deep tech solutions, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, I'm joined by my colleague, Andrea Cruzado, part of the communications department from Sploro. Thank you for your assistance and for being here. She'll be moderating your questions during the session. During today's session, there we go. During today's session, we'll present two EU open calls designed to support deep tech and cybersecurity innovation across Europe. CITADEL first open call and Open Horizons third open call. Together, these calls offer complementary pathways combining equity-free funding, training, mentoring, and access to European innovation networks to help you, researchers, and women-led startups scale your impact in deep tech and related sectors. Before we begin, a few quick notes on how we'll manage the questions. Please submit your questions at any time using the Q&A box, and we'll moderate the discussion and we'll address questions live after each presentation. We encourage concise and relevant questions to make the sessions as useful as possible for everyone. Now, who are we? For those joining us for the first time, welcome. Sploro is an innovation consultancy committed to making innovation accessible and understandable to everyone. We specialize in innovation consultancy, guiding startups, SMEs, and organizations through R&D funding opportunities. In Cascade Funding Management, by managing EU-funded open calls for digital, sustainable, and creative innovation. And through Crony Software, which is our SaaS tool that simplifies project reporting for European R&D initiatives. And what is Cascade Funding? And how does it work? Cascade funding, also known as financial support to third parties, is an EU mechanism providing equity-free funding to startups, SMEs, researchers, and organizations developing innovative solutions. How does it work? First, the European Commission funds large consortia. Then these consortia launch open calls for third parties, and the selected applicants receive funding and tailored support monitored through KPIs. Why is this great? Because of its simple application and reporting processes, because it is equity-free funding, and it accelerates innovation and knowledge sharing, as well as it allows you to join EU innovation networks. So if this sounds interesting and appealing to you, stay informed by subscribing to our newsletter and following us on social media, where we upload new open calls regularly. And this is the Cascade Funding Hub. And without further ado, let's get started with today's topic. Our first project is CITADEL Open Call, first open call, which will be presented by Marielle Campanella, who is head of European projects at Actantis, a leading French deep tech cluster. With more than 25 years of experience, she specializes in EU funding, digital innovation, and supporting SMEs in areas like cybersecurity, AI, and semiconductors. CITADEL supports SMEs in developing, testing, and deploying advanced security solutions to strengthen territorial and critical infrastructure protection. The call focuses on pilot projects using technologies such as AI, IoT, and photonics, validated in real or near real environments across sectors like energy, transport, healthcare, and digital infrastructure. The deadline for this call is the 5th of May of this year. So, Marielle, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ana Maria. I'm going to share my screen, if it's fine for you.
Yes, there we go.
Yes, can you confirm that you see it correctly?
Yes, Perfect.
Yes, very good. So thank you very much for the introduction, and big thanks also to Sploro for this regular animation that you are doing, and specifically for this one, and inviting us representing CITADEL. So I'm very glad to give you some elements on this Cascade funding call that we're currently managing with our colleagues in the consortium. Time will be short because the deadline is in 2 weeks, but it could be still time to apply in case we have good ideas in mind. So be attentive to what I'm going to say, because several hints will be given on how to apply and so on. So I'm part of Actantis, as Anna Maria said, which is a French cluster based in the southeastern part of France, where I'm speaking from. Actually, CITADEL is a European project which is itself funded by the European Commission as part of the Single Market Programme, and more specifically, the Eurocluster programme. So the Eurocluster actually is an initiative from the European Commission to support clusters, namely associations, to work together in order to strengthen given value chains on given industries or given technologies, which are particularly important for the sovereignty and the green and digital transition of the European Union. So in this respect, the European Commission has funded 16 projects that you can see on the right-hand side here on very various subjects, and all of them are going to are launching cascade funding for the sake of SMEs. So in total, those 16 projects will distribute more than 30 million euros to SMEs during this year till the next coming 2 years. So if you are looking for specific cascade funding, give a look to the Eurocluster program, because there might be interesting rooms for you. So specifically, CITADEL is focusing on the security value chain, not only cybersecurity, but security in a broader sense, including the protection of critical infrastructure. So in our case, the ambitions of CITADEL is really to support the deployment of innovative technology that can support security value chain at every of its steps. The overall goal is really to support technologies that can facilitate the resilience of critical infrastructure in Europe, by leveraging the potential interest of both the green transition and the digital transition. So this is done by launching this cascade funding mechanism, which aims at the end to support the collaboration between, on one hand, digital companies which provide digital services and digital products, and on the other hand, end users from the security sector and from infrastructure that can represent the demand side. So all that said, CITADEL has started in autumn last year, in October, for a duration of 36 months, and is carried out by a consortium of 6 partners. So it is coordinated by the French cluster Systematic, and there are also 2 other partners, so Actantis, from which I am, also Safe Cluster, and also 3 other clusters, CITADEL in Romania, Business Tampere Security Cluster in Finland, and L3CE in Lithuania. So concretely, here are the key figures that are in the open call that we are currently launching. So our intention in the cascade funding of CITADEL is to fund demonstration and pilot projects that have a duration of 9 months. And each selected project will receive a lump sum grant of up to 60,000 euros. And this funding has to be shared among the SME partners working on the same project. Only SMEs can be funded via the cascade funding of CITADEL. We require the co-financing from private sources of at least 20%, demonstrating the real commitment of the companies which are involved. And the partners can come from the EU 27 member states, plus the other countries which are associated to the single market program. I will come back on that a bit later on. So in total, we have an envelope of a bit less than 2 million euros to be distributed. And the goal after the end of CITADEL is to fund 33 projects across 2 successive open calls. And each of them must have a maximum of 2 partners, no more than less, so receiving each of them 60K. And the first open call is currently running right now. And in this open call, we are aiming to fund 17 projects. And the second open call will be launched next year, around February. And again, we will fund here 16 projects. The collaboration rules are very clear. We are looking for collaborative projects where what we said tech-savvy companies, so namely SMEs for the digital sector, work together with companies representing the security demand side. And the goal of these projects would have to demonstrate how digital tech solutions in real or near real conditions can address a very concrete security use case or challenge which is provided by the end user. So more specifically, it is important that there is this consortium of exactly two partners. So on one hand, the digital or tech SME, and on the other hand, the end user representing the security demand side, which can be either an SME or a non-SME organization. So your company must be established so in the EU member states, plus the list of countries that you can see here on the screen, which are associated also to the single market program. We actively encourage a cross-border partnership. So in fact, it is allowed that two partners from the same eligible countries work together in the consortium. But in the case that the two partners come from different countries, you will receive 1 bonus point in the evaluation in order to encourage this cross-border partnership. It emphasizes the European dimension of the consortium. The very important point is that only SMEs are eligible to receive funding. So in case the partner two, the security end user, is a non-SME, it can fully participate, but the grant will only go to the partner one, the digital SME. In this case, the partner two, the end user, will work only on based on self-funding. And as I said, regarding the co-funding, you need at least to have 20% of a private sources, which can be covered by the SME's own financial resources or guaranteed by the external financing sources. However, the in-kind contributions are not allowed. We really need monetary commitment from the company. So in terms of projects, we are looking for 17 SME-led innovation projects that can contribute across several dimensions. First of all, we would like to have projects that demonstrate and validate advanced security solutions based on technologies like AI, IoT, photonics, cybersecurity, and communications. And the goal of the project should be really to accelerate and the uptake and the deployment of the technologies in the security sector. At the starting stage, we are expecting to have technologies having at least a TRL level of 5 to 6. And we expect that at the end of the project, the funding of CITADEL will help them in having at least one increase of TRL level, so reaching at least TRL 6 or 7 at the end. Your solution should really improve threat detection capabilities, for instance, enhance the resilience of critical infrastructure, improve the emergency response capacity, and enhance also the safety in urban context. The economical and market impact will also be important, because at the end of the day, the goal will be that this funding support a faster commercialization and create also a new business opportunity. The social and economic and policy impact should not be forgotten, of course, because the project is important that the project also strengthen, for instance, the public confidence in security solutions, taking into consideration also security policies and standards. Regarding the technologies themselves, so there are 5 categories that we're expecting with technologies which would be eligible in CITADEL. So the first one is the IoT technologies, then photonics and optics, AI and data analytics, cybersecurity, of course, and also connectivity, including cloud platforms, secure communications, and so on. These categories are not rigid. Of course, if your innovation spans on multiple areas, it's perfectly fine. In the application form, you have the possibility to select several categories and to justify why your products or services fits into those technologies categories. What is really important is that the technology are really able to address concrete security challenges. So indeed, regarding the security sector, it's important that the challenges we are focusing on falls into at least one or several of these two categories. The first one is the protection of critical infrastructure. So here we are talking about entities and infrastructure that deliver essential services for the society, where disruption would actually cause major social or economical consequences. Here we are focusing, for instance, on energy systems, on water systems, on transport networks, on healthcare infrastructure, on digital infrastructure, etc. So those elements are really, let's say, the backbone of the European society, and their security is of paramount importance for all of us individually and for the society. The second point is the resilience. So here, the security challenges are focusing on the resilience, especially in case of natural disasters, such as flooding, fires, earthquake, and so on, and also on the management of technological risks and technological disasters that may happen. And here, the idea is to have projects focusing also on the management of those hazards and also the service continuity in case of crises that are happening. And finally, the third subject is about the protection of urban spaces. And here we have a subject around the smart city security, including sustainable concerns, and especially also the management of very dense area, especially the management of large-scale public events like concerts, sports events, and so on. So how to secure manage those events with very dense population. So it's important that your project address at least one of those challenge areas, and also that your project address one of the 5 steps at least of the security value chain presented below. So risk assessment, risk prevention, detection, response, and recovery. Concerning the eligibility, so I've just talked about that, legal entity from the SMP COSME countries. The funding is only for SMEs, which are financially viable, namely which are not in financial difficulty. Regarding the funding, so as I said, 60K per project has a lump sum, only for SME, funding rate 80%. The project duration will be 9 months with an expected start in October and a closing of the projects in the month of June. And there is a payment calendar on 2 steps, so 20% as advance payment and 80% at a project closure. So the call is open since February, and the deadline is in 2 weeks' time, so on the 5th of May at 5 o'clock continental European time. There are 3 main documents that you must know: the guide for applicants, the FAQ, and the template for application. I think you will get the slides, and the links will be available there. If you wish to apply, you can connect on citadel.grantplatform.com. Actually, it is an application platform that we are using. Applications can be submitted only via this portal. You have to create an account, and all information that you must provide are available there using a text field, the brand menus, and so on. You will be asked in this document also to provide yourself KPIs against which your project will be validated if selected. So it's really important that this document is well written, because it's going to become a contractual document in case you are selected for funding. Sorry, I wrote twice the same slides. This is the evaluation step. So what is going to happen after the 5th of May? Evaluation will be done by the external expert that we have currently selected. And the best 24 applicants will be invited for a jury day for an online pitching that will be held from the 15th to the 17th of June. And after that, the evaluations will be known during the second half of June, and it is expected to sign the sub-grant agreements during the summertime in July, August, for having a starting phase at the latest, as I said, on the 1st of October 2026. And as I said, the same will be launched next year during the second call. So this is our calendar. Keep in mind this deadline on the 5th of May. Time is quite short till the closure, but if you have a project idea which is, let's say, already quite well established, you have still the possibility to prepare your application. It's not too long to prepare it if you have already a good partner in mind. So don't hesitate to connect on citadel.grandplatform.com to look how you have to provide and to what you have to write to prepare your application. And that's it, I think, with the short timeline I have. If you need to contact us because you have any questions, you can reach us at citadel@actantis.com. You can follow us on LinkedIn also to have more information on what we are doing. And if there are any questions from the audience, I would be glad to reply to them. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Marielle. That was a wonderful presentation. And yes, we do have a couple of questions. Sarah asks, what does it mean that the required 20% co-financing must come from private financial resources mobilized for the project by the SME partners? Is it okay, for example, in the case of personnel costs, stating that the SME will cover 20% with its own funds, regular payroll? If not, which sources of co-financing are valid for SMEs to cover the required 20%? How can the SME justify it at proposal and report stages?
Yes, so at the proposal stage, we ask for justification or to explain in writing text how you intend to co-fund. The co-fund indeed must be a monetary, namely a private financial resources that the company is putting in the project. It can be indeed a payment of the personal cost from the treasury that the company already has. It could be also, for instance, a loan in the bank. It could be also financial resources coming from someone else that you're going to provide, or it can come also from an increase of capital, for instance. We don't ask for a documentary that justify this explanation at the proposal stage, but this could be asked at the final reporting stage once the project will be approved and completely finished.
Okay, thank you. And Peter asks, in terms of workload, how actively involved is the end user expected to be during the 9-month project?
Well, it's up to you to decide for that. It's up to you to indicate in your work plan which type of involvement the end user is going. Sorry. I was saying it's up to you to decide which type of commitment the end user is going to have. We do expect that there would be at least some tasks that would be attributed to the end user. Concretely, it is expected that the digital solution, which is provided by partner number one, would be installed, demonstrated in real or near real conditions into the end user environment. So there would be some activities to be done with the end user in order to settle down those elements. From the end user to test the technologies and then to report that it worked correctly against their challenges in terms of security.
And lastly, Marianne asks, are there any preferred sources of co-financing, or is any private funding equally acceptable?
No, it is equally acceptable.
Okay, thank you. That was the last question. Thank you, Marielle, once again, for your wonderful presentation.
Thank you very much.
You can stop. Thank you. And now, moving on to the second project, Open Horizons' third open call will be presented by Virginia Vasilacou, who is one of our EU project managers at Sploro, specializing in digital innovation and deep tech funding programs. With over 8 years of experience, she leads large-scale European collaborations, interdisciplinary initiatives at the intersection of art, science, and technology. Her work focuses on translating complex ideas into accessible, human-centered solutions that address key societal challenges. Open Horizons supports women-led digital and deep tech startups in Europe through funding and collaboration with corporates. The call focuses on developing tailored solutions to real industry challenges in areas such as AI, advanced computing, life sciences, energy, and clean technologies. The deadline for this call is the 19th of May of this year. So, Virginia, over to you.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you also to Andrea for the invite. I'm excited to present Open Horizons. So yes, as this is loading, please let me know if you can see my screen. I suppose you do, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So as Anna said, the deadline is also very soon. It's less than a month. So I'm hoping that we will get some applications from this crowd over here. So the problem is that women-led deep tech startups struggle to scale due to limited funding, few industry partnerships, and very scarce opportunities to validate their solutions. And what we like to say in our team is that Open Horizons is more than just funding. So Open Horizons connects leading corporations with startups through an open innovation process to develop pilot solutions that address a specific market-driven challenge that the corporate partner has submitted. So throughout the project, the startups apply and specifically select a corporate challenge, and then we match them with a corporate partner to develop that solution. Now, the project overall gives out a total of 1.2 million in funding. Over 3 open calls and up to 39 women-led startups are selected. Startups receive up to 55K equity-free funding if they're selected. And then they also get extra support in terms of corporate engagement, investment readiness, and scaling opportunities. Now, a little bit about the piloting program and what happens when you enter the program. There are 2 stages. The first stage is the inception stage, where the startups develop a POC, and then they move on to the piloting stage, where they co-develop their pilot solutions with a corporate partner. And everything is validated, of course, through specific deliverables and KPIs, and then the payments are following those deliverables. So far, we have already had 2 cohorts, and right now we're in the process of selecting the second open call startups. So now the third and very, very last open call is active and closes on May 19th, very, very strictly. So please do not submit any applications after that. We will be selecting 16 startups to go into the inception stage, and then up to 7 will move on to the piloting stage. Now, the domains that we're looking into is from anything that is related to deep tech, pretty much. And we're looking into AI, cybersecurity, energy, agri-tech, retail tech, some of the examples over here. A little bit about the partners as well and the people behind this. We have Pedal from Slovakia, who is the coordinating organization. Partners, we have Sploro, that is managing the open calls. We have Innovex, the accelerator from Romania, and Migros from Turkey. And since the beginning of the project, we had as associated partners Repsol, Stahl, and Siemens that have been with us and helping us create the corporate aspect of the project. And we have been onboarding as well other corporate partners. So for this open call, these are some of our corporate partners, some pretty big names over here, and not everyone has been published because they don't want to due to confidentiality. And some of the categories of the challenges that we can see here is the industrial AI in manufacturing, advanced materials, data analytics, HR tech, fintech, for example, retail and logistics. You may see all the challenges in detail in the guidelines for applicants, where we have very detailed descriptions. We have their objectives, the expected outcomes. And I think that I'm hoping that Andy will put the guidelines in our chat so you can have a direct link. So again, in terms of key dates, because it's never bad to repeat information, May 19 is our deadline. And let's move on to see some eligibility criteria. So, okay, so the first criterion is that your application needs to be complete and everything must be submitted in English, all documents. We see sometimes CVs that are in foreign languages, and these may deem an application ineligible. The startup needs to be digital and or deep tech. It must be founded or co-founded by a woman, and that woman should have a top management position. And then all women in the company should own more than 25% of the shares. The startup needs to be early stage, established between 6 months and 6 years on the day of the submission of the application. So we do not accept projects, but we do accept early stage legal entities. The company should have raised less than 1 million euros in equity. It doesn't matter if it's €0, but as long as it's below 1 million. Then they should be an autonomous SME with less than 250 employees and an annual turnover below 50 million or a balance sheet below 43 million. And then you should have no conflict of interest with the consortium and to have no double funding of the proposed activities. So in most cases, if you have already received EU funding for your startup, this would probably not be a case of double funding because Open Horizons is very specific in terms of asking you to suggest very specific activities to tackle that corporate challenge. So usually there's no problem with that. Now, in terms of eligible countries, of course, we have the EU member states. And then in terms of associated countries, this is the list of the countries that are eligible to apply. And the newest addition this year is Switzerland. And then let's go through the evaluation process a little bit. So we begin by checking all the eligibility criteria, and we separate the eligible from the non-eligible startups. And then we move on to the red flags, where we have a filtering process to narrow down all the eligible proposals up to 50. And those 50 will go into the experts evaluation. Over here, we have two external experts, one that has a business profile and one that has a tech profile. And they evaluate each proposal separately. Then we normalize the scores to remove all biases. And then we have the first shortlist of selected applicants. Now, those go through an interview process, and then the selected startups that will move on to the program go through the legal validation where we check all their documents, and then they move on to sign the sub-grantee agreement. In 1 second, I need some water over here. Right, my voice is about to give up on me, I think. All right, so evaluation criteria. So our two evaluators practically judge an application based on these three criteria. So we have excellence, implementation, and impact. And here we're looking to see how aligned your proposal is with the challenges, how innovative it is, if it's feasible, and the activities that you propose are indeed feasible within that 6-month time of the pilot. In terms of implementation, we're looking at team compositions and expertise and how clear is the activity plan. We're also looking at the Gantt chart and the risk management plan. And in terms of impact, how, for example, how you're contributing to the green, digital, and social transitions, your IPRs, market entry potential, and how relevant it is to the challenge. A little tip over here, we're seeing that a lot of applicants ignore the business aspect of the proposal because we have amazing scientists that have come up with amazing solutions, but they do ignore that it still is a business proposal. So especially paying some attention into the market readiness, the business plan, predictions of the financials that you're predicting, for example, and how ambitious these predictions are. These things need to be elaborated in detail in your proposals. Now, again, a little more detail about the program of services and the two stages that we mentioned before. In the inception stage, again, here the startups are focusing on developing the POC and describing what will happen in the piloting stage. And as soon as this is completed, the startups get 10K. And then in the piloting stage, this is purely a focus on executing the pilot with a corporate partner. And here the startups get funded with 45K in 3 tranches. And last but not least, if you want to apply now, here is the project link where you can go into the tab resources and find the guidelines for applicants, the FAQs, an application template. All the information you need is there. Please read the guidelines very, very carefully because everything you need is in that document. And the deadline, again, is on May 19th at 5 p.m. And if you have any questions, you may contact us at oh@sploro.eu. And thank you very much. And we're open for questions.
Thank you, Virginia. Very interesting presentation. And we do, in fact, have some questions. Paula asks, how actively involved are the corporate partners during the pilot phase in practice?
They are very active because they are the ones that submit that challenge. So you're practically solving a problem that they have. So you will be engaging with them a lot in the piloting phase.
And next, Erica asks, what typically determines which startups move from inception to piloting?
That's a corporate go and no go for sure. And then it is in terms of the quality of the deliverables and making sure that everything has been completed. It's also a decision of the consortium and the corporate partner together evaluating the proposals. If you want to see more details about that process, again, online, we have a template of the sub-grant agreement that describes specifically the criteria. But at the end of the day, if the corporate partner feels like, yes, this is a solution that it is feasible and we can develop it together, they have the final say.
Awesome. Pedro asks, what are tech SME in the security space? But we don't, we are a tech SME in the security space, but we don't currently have a partner to apply for. This is another question for sorry. Dana asks, would you recommend focusing strongly on one challenge area, or can cross-domain solutions be competitive?
Well, in the application form, you will be requested to select one challenge. So you should focus on this one challenge that you address.
Mm-hmm. And that is all questions we have, I think. So thank you very much, Virginia. And thank you very much, Mariel, as well. We are at the end of our webinar of our 31st edition of the Sploro Cascade Funding Info Days, dedicated to deep tech and cybersecurity. We hope today's session has provided clear insights into how these opportunities can support your work and help scale innovative, sustainable solutions across Europe. Before you go, please subscribe to the Sploro newsletter to stay up to date on upcoming open calls, and follow Sploro on LinkedIn for the latest funding opportunities and events. Thank you for your attention and for being here.
Thank you, Anna.
Bye.
And Andrea.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.